Imagine a melody that binds generations together, a painting that tells a story 1,000 years old, or a poem that unites the children of the diaspora. This is the heart of the Kurdish cultural renaissance, a powerful movement where heritage is not merely remembered, but lived and shared through a living pulse, one that bridges divisions and shapes a future rich in identity. Feel the heartbeat of a culture that refuses to be forgotten. For decades, the image of the Kurds in the media has been tied to war, displacement, and political conflict. But behind that noise, a different story is being born. A story of cultural revival, redefining what it means to be Kurdish in the 21st century. Today, Kurdish identity is not merely an attachment to land, but to a living memory woven by generations through songs, language, and symbols, and beating in the hearts of millions across the world. From mountain cities to the capitals of the diaspora, this renaissance blossoms in unexpected places, revealing a new face of a people who have turned suffering into creativity. This movement did not begin in parliaments or political declarations, but in paintings, songs, and poems born from the ashes. In Ahmed, young artists paint history on the city's walls as if reclaiming memory itself. In Süleymaniye, poets revive verses that were once forbidden. And in Erbil, filmmakers tell their stories to prove that Kurdish tales can be told in the language of light, not the language of war. And here, identity is not a single slogan, but a mosaic of dialects, melodies, and faces, from Van to Kamishlo, from Hawel to Mahabad. It is a dance that transcends borders, a cup of tea sipped in exile, and a pride in a language that has survived attempts at erasure. And so the spark was lit, in a camp where a child drew his flag on a piece of tent cloth, and in a distant home where a mother sang in Kurdish to her children so they would not forget. From those small corners, the spark grew into a global flame, now glowing across the digital space, festivals, and cinema screens around the world. And with all this radiance, the story reaches back to its roots, to the earliest sources of creativity.
Centuries before the internet was ever conceived, Kurdish culture was already a vast river of creativity, its roots stretching thousands of years deep into the heart of Mesopotamia. A rich legacy of poetry, music, literature, philosophy, and thought formed the essence of a civilization that helped shape the East and left profound marks on neighboring cultures, even when history forgot to give it credit. Kurdish music, with its diverse modes and distinctive melodies, has long been the language of the soul and memory. The voice of the Dengbêj, the poetic storyteller, echoed across villages and mountains, guarding the oral history and epic tales, embodying the joys and sorrows of the people. This ancient oral art was not mere singing. It was a living archive of a nation's memory, turning voice into history and melody into survival. From this heritage was born the Kurdish folklore, a tapestry woven from myth, music, dance, costume, and tradition. Across mountains and plains, a rich network of songs, dances, and stories emerged, telling of love and exile and of a land reborn with every rainfall. The group dance, the govend, hands interlocked, steps in harmony, is more than a celebration. It is a symbolic declaration of unity and equality. Each step recalls solidarity, and every rhythm carries the echo of distant mountains. Folk songs, from Dengbêj ballads to Surani love tunes, form the emotional archive of the Kurdish spirit, carrying longing, dignity, and resistance, connecting generations through a memory that never falls silent. Within the folk tales live figures like Mimenzin, Simon, and Kaji, and the legendary lovers Farhad and Shirin. Symbols of passion and human destiny, they mirror Greek epics in depth, yet feel warmer, born not in palaces, but in the heart of ordinary people, from the very soul of the land. Their traditional Kurdish attire, vibrant and meticulously embroidered, is a living visual folklore. Each region bears its own patterns and colors, telling a story of tribe and place, from the Zagros crimson of the east to the soft blue of the western plains. Being a mountain people, nature, the mountain, the fire, the water, has remained sacred in Kurdish folklore. It shines most vividly during Nowruz, when people gather around the fire to celebrate the return of light and life, echoing the ancient legend of Kawa the blacksmith who triumphed over darkness with light and steel. And from the flames of Nowruz and the rhythm of the dance, we move gently to another scene where stories are not sung or painted, but cooked and shared on the Kurdish table.
Just as songs are sung and stories are told, history here is narrated around the table. The Kurdish kitchen is another chapter of identity, a blend of mountain and valley, of nature and memory. From the Zagros Mountains come wild herbs, from the plains of Al Jazeera comes wheat, and from sheep and milk are born the dishes that define the very meaning of hospitality. In Kurdistan, wealth is not measured by money, but by one's ability to honor a guest. Hospitality is not a custom here. It is dignity. It is pride. The tables are known for dishes like mir, kutlek, gawarma, tarshik, nani tanori, and dolma. For thalaf kebab grilled over charcoal, soran rice infused with saffron, and winter meals like sorba, the mountain soup, and keshk made from dried yogurt. Each dish is a reflection of patience and warmth, standing resilient against the long, cold seasons. Even in exile, the taste remains unchanged. Black tea after every meal, flat bread baked on the sage, and the smell of dried yogurt filling homes during the preservation season. Food here is not merely flavor, it is a ritual, a bridge between generations. When a grandmother teaches her granddaughter how to shape the perfect gutlek, she is not just passing down a recipe, she is transmitting identity, rhythm, and the taste of mountain life itself. And from the rituals of the table, our story flows onward to the vast horizon of creativity, where tradition transcends time.
Kurdish creativity was never limited to folklore or music alone. It extended into philosophy, science, and thought. Countless Kurdish scholars and thinkers served both Islamic and global civilization, yet their names often dissolved into broader identities. Among them were Ibn Khaldun, the historian and literary figure, Abu al-Fida, the geographer and chronicler, Al-Jazari, the brilliant inventor of mechanical marvels during the medieval era, and Ahmad Khani, the author of Mem and Zin, the first national Kurdish epic that fused poetry and philosophy. In modern times, Kurdish influence continued to shape regional and global art. In Turkish cinema, Yılmaz Güney led a revolution in storytelling and realism, turning film into a tool for social justice. In Persian music, Shahram Nazeri blended Sufi spirituality with Kurdish maqams, creating one of the most beautiful artistic bridges between peoples. In a world more connected than ever, digital platforms have become the nervous system of Kurdish communities scattered across borders. For a people divided geographically, the internet offers a vital space for connection and cultural exchange, a new pulse of artistic revival driven by digital storytelling. Creators, from digital painters reimagining ancient Kurdish myths to musicians blending traditional instruments with electronic beats, are redefining Kurdish identity for the modern world. Online groups and forums have become a kind of digital diwan, where discussions on history, language, and shared memory bridge the fragmented parts of Kurdistan and its diaspora. In the age of algorithms, social media has become a virtual homeland, connecting Kurdish voices from distant mountains to Berlin neighborhoods, Paris cafes, and Toronto homes. Technology has achieved what politics could not, uniting a divided nation through pixels and posts. On Instagram and TikTok, creators share folkloric dances from Mardin, recipes from Zeko, and historical reflections from Stockholm, all streaming together in a single cultural current. On YouTube, classical music meets lo-fi beats, while digital magazines like Kurdistan Chronicle and Kermanj give a voice to writers and thinkers who once had none. These spaces are not only about nostalgia, they are about reconnection and the building of a shared digital identity. A student in Berlin learns Kermanji through an app built by developers in Erbil, while a filmmaker in Toronto collaborates with a sound engineer in Sulaymaniyah, both using the same words and hashtags to revive a shared heritage. In this way, digital crossroads have redefined the very meaning of Kurdistan. Creativity itself has become a symbolic homeland, and Kurdish identity now thrives in a space unbound by geography. With every post, every song, every shared story, the cultural network grows stronger, a living archive of language, laughter, and memory that no power can erase. Art for the Kurds has always been more than beauty. It is survival, resistance, and remembrance. Today, that legacy continues through a new generation of filmmakers, painters, and musicians whose works link mountains to the diaspora, myth to modernity. Films revealing the complexities of Kurdish life, music echoing generations, and visual art translating endurance, all shape the contours of this modern renaissance. Among them, artist Zira Doğan, who turned prison walls into witnesses of her city. Director Sahim Omar Khalifa, who brought Kurdish stories to international festivals. And Bahman Gobadi, the visionary behind Rhino Season. In music, Hani and Johan Hajo continue weaving melodies that merge ancestral songs with modern rhythms, songs that sway between joy and sorrow, yet always carry the meaning of resiliency. Ancient symbols and myths, the tree of life representing eternity and unity of earth and sky, embroidery that tells the stories of tribes through its patterns, and the legend of Kava, the blacksmith, who kindled the fire of freedom, are reborn in the works of young artists. They are reinterpreted in modern paintings, innovative fashion, and mesmerizing animation, reshaping heritage in a visual language the whole world can understand. At the heart of this movement stands the Kurdish language itself, preserved and celebrated through digital media and education, from initiatives like Ferhang Kurdî and Kurdî Lit to online learning channels giving the language a new life in the modern era. Kurdish art today does not ask for permission. It sings, it paints, it protests, and reminds the world that culture is not luxury, but a homeland built through memory and creativity. Every painting, every poem, every melody carries the same message. For a people without a state, culture is the homeland. And from this symbolic homeland, the roots extend outward to the global Kurdish identity taking shape beyond borders.
The Kurdish diaspora, stretching from Europe to North America and beyond, has not weakened Kurdish identity. It has expanded it until it became truly global. What was once an experience of exile has turned into a vast space for cultural exchange and innovation. International collaborations between Kurdish musicians and Western orchestras, between filmmakers and global production houses, amplify Kurdish voices on the world stage, enriching the culture itself and giving birth to new forms of artistic expression. The Kurdish diaspora is not an absence, it is an extension. From Paris to Washington, from Copenhagen to Melbourne, Kurdish culture is being reimagined in every corner of the world. Kurdish artists do not simply carry their culture, they weave it into the fabric of global art. Film producers work alongside French cinematographers. Fashion designers blend traditional patterns with Scandinavian minimalism. and joined exhibitions explore themes of identity, exile, and belonging. Across Europe, Kurdish cultural centers host film festivals, language courses, and New Rose celebrations that draw thousands, not only Kurds, but admirers of free culture. In North America, Kurdish academics and musicians are reshaping how the world perceives the Middle East. Meanwhile, small communities in Japan, Brazil, and Australia carry their heritage across generations, teaching dance, sharing food, and passing down ancestral stories. This fusion of heritage and modernity has created something rare, a Kurdish identity that is global, confident, flexible, and deeply rooted. What we witness today as a Kurdish cultural renaissance is no passing trend, but the natural continuation of a tree whose roots run deep through time. Every new song, every modern film is the echo of an ancient voice still resonating through the mountains. The Kurdish culture has not died, and it never will. It is a mighty oak tree, its roots entered in the earth, its branches reaching boldly toward the future. The voice of the ancestors has not faded. It has found new languages to speak through. From the Dengbêj to the cinema, from oral storytelling to the digital realm, one message continues to echo through time. We were not created to be forgotten. And so, the Kurdish cultural renaissance endures. A living melody flowing across generations and borders, carrying within its rhythm a single promise that memory will stay alive and the story